It's time now for a look at the latest in local news. In the news, the Wayne County Commissioners met Friday in a special call meeting to address the millage rate. And at the meeting, Commissioner Kevin McCreary not once but twice motioned to lower the millage rate 1 mil, basing his opinion on numbers he says it was given to him by the County Administrator Ed Jeffords. McCreary says the numbers show $26 million in revenue and $21 million in expenses. He says based on those numbers, the county can afford a deduction of 1 mil. But McCreary now is the lone wolf without his partner Ralph Hickox, who has resigned to run for mayor of Jesup. McCreary decided to vote for the recommendation by the county commission about a $0.5 mil decrease, so the vote was 4-0. But here was McCreary pleading his case before the vote was taken.
Expect us to look at these numbers and be able to make a conscious decision, be good stewards of the tax money, and be able to tax them fairly to the point where we are not in the red all the time, but not to where we're in the black so much that we don't have any, we're overtaxing them each year, as what I said on the $4.6 million. I'll vote for this because I do want the taxes to go down, but I still say we should go down a mil, and I think we can go down a mil and still be good.
I beg to differ. Based on what we're facing, based on the fact that we have gone through the millage rate increase to get us ahead where we didn't have to do this again, we need to lower our rate accordingly and in a disciplined manner, like we promised to do, but not to the point that we have to turn around next year or the next year and ask for a millage rate increase to get us back out of the situation again. So
they already gave us a letter saying that they didn't look for the digest to go down next year. And I do realize we do have extra expenses because we're having to get back up on board with all the other salaries that we have that have not been increased in so many years. But you're not looking at $3.5 million.
I don't know where you get your numbers from.
Right here.
Understand.
This is
no, I don't know. No, I'm not going to go into a discussion with this. I think maybe in a retreat or something, it can be better clarified for you. But based on this, I've made the motion. We have a second. We have any more discussion? Lower the millage rate, the rollback rate plus a $0.5 mil. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Hires?
Yes.
Mr. McCreary?
Yes. Can I make a motion we drop it another $0.5 mil?
You can, but you failed to get a second on the first time. I don't know why you would do it again.
Well, you just have to kind of hope,
If you're comfortable with it, make one.
I make the motion we drop it another $0.5 mil, just for the sake of the people that voted for us, the taxpayers, give them some relief during this time of COVID and suffering, and a lot of people are still, from the $5 mil increase, are still suffering from paying those amount of taxes. And I may not get a second, but at least I'm trying.
And once again, he did not get a second. We'll have more from that call meeting on Wednesday's newscast. Here was a letter of recommendation from the County Administrator Ed Jeffords. It says, although I do not foresee a decrease in the digest next year, I do not see a significant increase. Even with the recent announcements around expansions and growth in our county, the value of these investments will not be recorded until January 2023, and the value of the county tax digest will not start to be realized until 2028, with the full value being realized in 2033. Although some indirect monetary benefits may be seen immediately from these investments, just as a reminder, 60% of the county's funding comes from property taxes. On the expense side, there is significant pressure on salaries and increased services that are approaching $1 million or more year after year. The advertisement by the tax commissioner, the tentative millage of 16.756, a reduction of 0.167 mils, would net the county $259,000 over last year. The maximum amount that the board can reduce the millage without advertising again and delaying the process is 0.667 mils, which will result in a reduction of $125,000 over last year. In keeping with the promise made to this board 3 years ago and coupled with the county's current financial condition, I can recommend a reduction in the millage rate within the limitations before the board today. However, future reductions will be questionable based on the increasing needs and demands of county services and the new growth in the county. Again, that's the letter to the commissioners from County Administrator Ed Jeffords. The bottom line for taxpayers is how much money will you save when the tax bills roll out in the next few months. Tax Commissioner Denise Griffith says with the school boards rolling back $0.50 and the county rolling back their millage by about $0.50, the combined savings on a $100,000 home will be about $40.85, $17.50 savings from the school tax, and $23.35 from the county's rollback. That's the word from the tax commissioner, who knows the figures backwards and forwards. County commissioners thanking her for her work in the process. She was at the meeting on Friday. But Kevin McCrary's attempt to roll back a full mill on Friday again failed not once but twice. But as he said Friday at the meeting, at least I tried. But he did vote along with his fellow commissioners, so the vote was unanimous 4-0 vote. Once again, they'll be without a fifth board member until a special election will be held in March of 2022. We'll be back with more news. Look at the school system's decision last Thursday and what it means for this week, right after this word from our sponsor, other commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, a reminder that all school children in Wayne County school system are doing virtual learning today from home today and Wednesday, with the hybrid schedule picking back up on Thursday and Friday this week. Those are the decisions made at last Thursday's called board meeting. They state the numbers in the COVID situation have decreased. We got the numbers here today going from last week to this week. Last week, there were 225 weekly positive cases among the school system with the students. This past week, August 28th through September 3rd, only 71. The voluntary quarantines went from 443 to 207, and the required quarantines went from 496 to 125. As far as staff goes, 840 employees in the school system. Last week, 59 weekly positive cases. This past week, August 28th through September 3rd, 21. The quarantine for possible exposure, 26. The quarantine for possible exposure this past week, 37. Again, hybrid schedule picks back up on Thursday and Friday of this week. Other school news, the following young ladies have been selected to the homecoming court, with the homecoming set for October 8th when Wayne County set to play veterans at home. Homecoming court is made up of Caroline Armstrong, Bailey Banks, Tamisha Chadwick Turner, Leanna Cooper, Emily Copeland, Jules Craven, Alana Faley, Nikayla Gaines, Ellie Green, C.J. Lamb, Elijah Riles, Justice Robinson, Maggie Sluter, Graham Stanley, Maya Thomas, and Jazzy Williams. Again, that's your homecoming court for Wayne County High School. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, other commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes and news, couple governmental agreements, or a couple governmental meetings this week. Tonight, the city commissioners meet at 7 p.m. at the Craig Williams Community Center under new business, discussion of COVID funding, discussion of the Veterans Memorial Wall, agreement for take-home vehicles with Police Chief Perry Morgan, discussion of school zone cameras with Police Chief Perry Morgan, intergovernmental agreement on fire service with City Attorney Michael Connor, budget amendment, hire fighters for ISO rating with Fire Chief Josh Huffman, items with the city manager, items with the commissioners, items with the mayor. They've got the tentative millage rate approval on their agenda tonight at 7 p.m. The county commissioners are set to meet on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. at the courtroom C. Under the agenda, under new business, consider and approve social media policy, consider and approve election board, consider and approve staggered terms, appointments, items with the county administrator, items with commissioners, and executive session, discuss personnel. Finally, in the news, in the past 10 days, a 27-year-old, a 34-year-old, a 43-year-old have all died of COVID here in Wayne County. And again, as the COVID-19 continues to plague our county, again, we received these statistics from the Wayne Memorial Hospital this past week for the month of August 1st to August 31st. It says 100% of COVID-19 deaths at Wayne Memorial Hospital have been from unvaccinated people. 100% of patients on ventilators from COVID-19 at Wayne Memorial Hospital have been from unvaccinated people, and 94% of the admissions at Wayne Memorial Hospital this past month have been from unvaccinated people. Again, all health officials state that vaccinations help. They encourage you to consult your family physician about being vaccinated. That's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan saying have a great day.